Your company has a support ticketing solution that uses App Engine Standard. The project that contains the App Engine application already has a virtual private cloud (VPC) network fully connected to the company's on-premises environment through a cloud VPN tunnel. You want to enable the App Engine application to communicate with a database that is running in the company's on-premises environment. What should you do? A. Configure private Google Access for on-premises hosts only. B. Configure private Google Access. C. Configure private services access. D. Configure serverless VPC access. Correct answer, D. D. Configure serverless VPC access. Your company is planning to upload several important files to cloud storage. After the upload is completed, they want to verify that the uploaded content is identical to what they have on premises. You want to minimize the cost and effort of performing this check. What should you do? A. 1. Use Linux SHASM to compute a digest of files you want to upload. 2. Use sutlm to upload all the files to cloud storage. 3. Use sutlcp to download the uploaded files. 4. Use Linux SHASM to compute a digest of the downloaded files. 5. Compare the hashes. B. 1. Use sutlm to upload the files to cloud storage. 2. Develop a custom Java application that computes CRC32C hashes. 3. Use sutil lslgs / your _bucket _ to collect CRC32C hashes of the uploaded files. 4. Compare the hashes. C1. Use sutlm to upload all the files to cloud storage. 2. Use sutlcp to download the uploaded files. 3. Use Linux diff to compare the content of the files. D. 1. Use sutlm to upload the files to cloud storage. 2. Use sutil-c file _ to generate CRC32C hashes of all on-premises files. 3. Use sutil lslgs / your _bucket _ to collect CRC32C hashes of the uploaded files. 4. Compare the hashes. Correct answer, D. D. 1. Use sutlm to upload the files to cloud storage. 2. Use sutil-c file _ to generate CRC32C hashes of all on-premises files. 3. Use sutil lslgs / your _bucket _ to collect CRC32C hashes of the uploaded files. 4. Compare the hashes. You have deployed an application on Anthos clusters, formerly Anthos GKE. According to the SRE practices at your company, you need to be alerted if request latency is above a certain threshold for a specified amount of time. What should you do? A. Install Anthos Service Mesh on your cluster. Use the Google Cloud Console to define a Service Level Objective, SLO, and create an alerting policy based on this SLO. B. Enable the Cloud Trace API on your project, and use Cloud Monitoring Alerts to send an alert based on the Cloud Trace metrics. C. Use Cloud Profiler to follow up the request latency. Create a custom metric in Cloud Monitoring based on the results of Cloud Profiler, and create an alerting policy in case this metric exceeds the threshold. D. Configure Anthos config management on your cluster, and create a YAML file that defines the SLO and alerting policy you want to deploy in your cluster. Correct answer, A. A. Install Anthos Service Mesh on your cluster. Use the Google Cloud Console to define a Service Level Objective, SLO, and create an alerting policy based on this SLO. Your company has a stateless web API that performs scientific calculations. The web API runs on a single Google Kubernetes Engine (GKE) cluster. The cluster is currently deployed in S-Central 1. Your company has expanded to offer your API to customers in Asia. You want to reduce the latency for users in Asia. What should you do? A. Create a second GKE cluster in Asia Southeast 1, and expose both APIs using a service of type load balancer. Add the public IPs to the cloud DNS zone. B. Use a global HTTP's load balancer with Cloud CDN enabled. C. Create a second GKE cluster in Asia Southeast 1, and use Kubemsi to create a global HTTP's load balancer. D. Increase the memory and CPU allocated to the application in the cluster. Correct answer, C. C. Create a second GKE cluster in Asia Southeast 1, and use Kubemsi to create a global HTTP's load balancer. You are migrating third-party applications from optimized on-premises virtual machines to Google Cloud. You are unsure about the optimum CPU and memory options. The applications have a consistent usage pattern across multiple weeks. You want to optimize resource usage for the lowest cost. What should you do? A. Create an instance template with the smallest available machine type, and use an image of the third-party application taken from a current on-premises virtual machine. Create a managed instance group that uses average CPU utilization to auto-scale the number of instances in the group. Modify the average CPU utilization threshold to optimize the number of instances running. B. Create an App Engine flexible environment, and deploy the third-party application using a Docker file and a custom runtime. Set CPU and memory options similar to your application's current on-premises virtual machine in the app YAML file. C. Create multiple compute engine instances with varying CPU and memory options. Install the Cloud Monitoring Agent, and deploy the third-party application on each of them. Run a load test with high traffic levels on the application, and use the results to determine the optimal settings. D. Create a compute engine instance with CPU and memory options similar to your application's current on-premises virtual machine. Install the Cloud Monitoring Agent, and deploy the third-party application. Run a load test with normal traffic levels on the application, and follow the right-sizing recommendations in the Cloud Console. Correct answer, D. 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 Create a compute engine instance with CPU and memory options similar to your application's current on-premises virtual machine. Install the Cloud Monitoring Agent, and deploy the third-party application. Run a load test with normal traffic levels on the application, and follow the right-sizing recommendations in the Cloud Console. Your company has a Google Cloud project that uses BigQuery for data warehousing. They have a VPN tunnel between the on-premises environment and Google Cloud that is configured with Cloud VPN. The security team wants to avoid data exfiltration by malicious insiders, compromised code, and accidental oversharing. What should they do? A. Configure private Google access for on-premises only. B. Perform the following tasks. 1. Create a service account. 2. Give the BigQuery job user role and storage reader role to the service account. 3. Remove all other IAM access from the project. C. Configure VPC service controls and configure private Google access. D. A. Configure private Google access. Correct answer, C. C. Configure VPC service controls and configure private Google access. You are working at an institution that processes medical data. You are migrating several workloads onto Google Cloud. Company policies require all workloads to run on physically separated hardware, and workloads from different clients must also be separated. You created a sole tenant node group and added a node for each client. You need to deploy the workloads on these dedicated hosts. What should you do? A. Add the node group name as a network tag when creating Compute Engine instances in order to host each workload on the correct node group. B. Add the node name as a network tag when creating Compute Engine instances in order to host each workload on the correct node. C. Use node affinity labels based on the node group name when creating Compute Engine instances in order to host each workload on the correct node group. D. Use node affinity labels based on the node name when creating Compute Engine instances in order to host each workload on the correct node. Correct answer, D. D. Use node affinity labels based on the node name when creating Compute Engine instances in order to host each workload on the correct node. Your company's test suite is a custom C++ application that runs tests throughout each day on Linux virtual machines. The full test suite takes several hours to complete, running on a limited number of on-premises servers reserved for testing. Your company wants to move the testing infrastructure to the cloud, to reduce the amount of time it takes to fully test a change to the system, while changing the tests as little as possible. Which cloud infrastructure should you recommend? A. Google Compute Engine Unmanaged Instance Groups and Network Load Balancer. B. Google Compute Engine Managed Instance Groups with Autoscaling. C. Google Cloud Dataproc to run Apache Hadoop jobs to process each test. D. Google App Engine with Google Stackdriver for logging. Correct answer, B. B. Google Compute Engine Managed Instance Groups with Autoscaling. A lead software engineer tells you that his new application design uses WebSockets and HTTP sessions that are not distributed across the web servers. You want to help him ensure his application will run properly on Google Cloud Platform. What should you do? A. Help the engineer to convert his WebSocket code to use HTTP streaming. B. Review the encryption requirements for WebSocket connections with the security team. C. Meet with the cloud operations team and the engineer to discuss load balancer options. D. Help the engineer redesign the application to use a distributed user session service that does not rely on WebSockets and HTTP sessions. Correct answer, C. C. Meet with the cloud operations team and the engineer to discuss load balancer options. The application reliability team at your company this added a debug feature to their backend service to send all server events to Google Cloud Storage for eventual analysis. The event records are at least 50 kilobytes and at most 15 megabytes and are expected to peak at 3,000 events per second. You want to minimize data loss. Which process should you implement? A. Append metadata to file body. Compress individual files' name files with server name timestamp. Create a new bucket if bucket is older than 1 hour and save individual files to the new bucket. Otherwise, save files to existing bucket. B. Batch every 10,000 events with a single manifest file for metadata. Compress event files and manifest file into a single archive file. Name files using server name event sequence. Create a new bucket if bucket is older than 1 day and save the single archive file to the new bucket. Otherwise, save the single archive file to existing bucket. C. Compress individual files. Name files with server name event sequence. Save files to one bucket. Set custom metadata headers for each object after saving. D. Append metadata to file body. Compress individual files. Name files with a random prefix pattern. Save files to one bucket. Correct answer, D. Correct answer, D. D. Append metadata to file body. Compress individual files. Name files with a random prefix pattern. Save files to one bucket.